Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Courtside with Coach Crist Show. I am Greg Crist. That to my left, and I don't know, I always point the wrong way, is, of course, my good buddy Steve Crozier stepping in tonight in place of Dave Gorby and Jason Blankenship. And, Crow, appreciate you making the trip over from Raleigh County to join me.
Yep. Thank you.
Crow's done the show several times himself and does a great job with it. And I always appreciate him. He's always ready to go whenever we need some help. And this is the August 1st edition, and we want to make sure everybody likes and subscribes on YouTube. Give us a like and a follow on Facebook. We appreciate that. That keeps us going. We also want to make a special thank you to Mike Dunlap and Mark Parsons, who are always instrumental in helping us with guests. And as always, on each and every show, we like to go out to the air and talk to our one eye in the sky, our Chopper One NRN traffic and weatherman, and his trusty sidekick and his famous dog. We want to not forget him. So we're going to welcome now in from the air.
Your phone is breaking up.
Uh-oh, I better move it. How about that? Any better?
There you go.
Much
better.
Had to move it. Had to pull the helicopter over to the pad. So we're going out to Muggy McLeod, Misty Rains, and, of course, Old Man Earl. Muggy, are you there?
Yes, sir. Coach, how are you this fine evening?
Oh, if I was any better, it'd be dangerous.
Yes, sir. Well, I hope you're better than your phone service, because it's pretty crappy. Anyway, maybe if you get that aluminum foil off your head, you'll be fine.
It might help, might it?
Yes, sir, Coach. Anyway, we are flying high above the great state of West Virginia again in the NRN One Eye in the Sky Chopper One Traffic and Weather Report. I'm here with, as you said, the lovable Misty Rains and the one-eyed dog in the sky, Mr. Earl the Pearl, the squirrel. He is hanging loose here with me, just happy to be alive at 15. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir, Coach. We are up in the same area as we were last week, flying around Moundsville, West Virginia. You know, I was a little harsh with Moundsville last week. I said there really wasn't anything there to talk about. And I've been trying to research some things, so here's what I got. So anyway, Coach, we are currently flying over the Grave Creek Mound. It is an Indian burial mound of the Adena tribe, and it's one of the larger Adena tribe burial mounds in the country. And, progress, just like they wrote it all down as the progress of man as they demolished a majority of the smaller mounds to build the city of Moundsville.
Yep.
But I guess in its honor, they did name the town Moundsville.
Yep.
But in reality, since they got rid of all of them but one, shouldn't it be called Moundville?
Moundville, yeah, you would think. There's even a Mounds bar has two mounds in it.
Yes. Maybe, I hope whatever they dug out of those little mounds, they kind of went behind the big mound and buried it.
Yep.
Anyway, Coach, we're flying over that big old mound, and Misty had to get a little higher altitude because it's somewhere around 57,000 tons of the material that those Adenas hauled in from the riverbanks of the mighty Ohio.
Yeah.
And you know who owns the Ohio River,
Absolutely. Coach? West Virginia owns it. That's right.
Yes, sir, Coach. I'm glad you're finally paying attention.
Much to the chagrin of the Ohioans.
Yes, sir, Coach. And what county are we gladly going to give them because they don't own Ohio County?
Ohio County. No, Hancock.
Ooh. Hancock County, that's correct. They can have Hancock County. Yes, sir, Coach. Yes, sir, Coach. Anyway, okay, we're now flying over the West Virginia Penitentiary, or the Moundsville State Prison, which is a historical site.
Yep.
And as most do not know, that was built in 1899, I believe, and was open for nearly 130 years.
Wow.
But what people don't realize is in the first 50 years, over 94 men were executed by hanging.
Oh.
Yes. And as a matter of fact, the last gentleman that was hung was Frank Heyer, and he lost his mind over it. And he also lost his head. That's why they quit doing it. But anyway.
Maybe they should have hanged him higher.
Ooh, very clever, Coach. Maybe that was the problem.
Yeah.
His toes couldn't touch the ground. Anyway, Coach, they did move on to the more popular electrocution because that method of choice, not by the inmates, of course, but by the politicians, seemed to be a little less cruel. Yeah. Anyway, and maybe why the place may be so haunted, and they do haunted tours and so forth.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was so bad there, Coach, even Charles Manson asked to be transferred there.
Pretty bad, huh?
Yeah, they told him no. We got too many of your type. Anyway, Coach, we are now flying a little further. I guess that would be north, and we are flying over, since you are a high school kind of show, sports show, we are flying over the John Marshall High School Monarchs.
Yep.
And the Monarchs, as another muggy minute, is the person who rules over a kingdom or empire. It's often a king or queen.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure who they thought they were ruling over there, but they sure haven't been very, let's say, conquering of any other high schools in the sports world over the years. But anyway.
Had their struggles.
Yes, they have. Okay, Coach, we are now flying over my favorite place, the Busy Beaver.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see Crow brought the medicine show with him.
Yes, he did.
It sounded like.
The old Crow medicine show. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Somebody's back there tickling the ivories. Stomping on Muggy's airtime. See? Anyway, Coach, that must be a flip phone. I haven't heard that ringtone in 20 years.
Yeah, well,
anyway.
He's probably had the same ringtone 20 years knowing him. He probably don't even know what it is. And
Yes,
don't know how to
sir.
change it.
Maybe you need to help him.
I might help him
There's
out.
Maybe you can find an 8 or 10-year-old around town there. That
Yeah,
can change.
there you go.
Okay, Coach. Anyway, so my favorite place ever in Moundsville is the Busy Beaver. It is a lumberyard, and a great name, clever name for the lumberyard. And so Wanda, the head clerk, is definitely busy.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway,
Okay.
Coach, on to the weather before I get censored.
I wonder, they have a beaver barber over here in Beckley.
Excuse me?
They have a beaver barber over here in Beckley.
A beaver barber.
Yep. Yep.
Say that fast 10 times.
Yep.
I dare you.
Beaver barber, beaver barber, beaver barber. Got about 3.
That was a good try. 2.5. All right. Anyway, I was going to mention the mound and the Indian heritage and the presidential candidate Kamala Harris, but people from West Virginia don't take too kindly from others. The Indian persuasion, and maybe don't even think she's from the U.S. or the great country of West Virginia. I'm not sure. Anyway, Coach, I'll move on to the weather. Brought to you by, of course, the Busy Beaver.
Yep.
Mention this spot on your next visit, and you get a choice of straight lumber, one straight piece of lumber with every 10 crooked pieces of lumber you buy for twice the price of Menards.
No, can't beat that. Another deal.
That's right. And Menards. You
Yeah.
save big money.
Yep, when you shop
You shop at
Menards.
Menards.
Yep.
Yes, sir, Coach. So the weather, as you know, is hot as Hades. And it's only going to get hotter and crappier. This is maybe Earl's day of summer. The dog days are here.
Yeah.
Be careful with the bees. They're everywhere. They're building in the ground, which tells us it's going to be a mild winter. That's what my grandmother used to say. But otherwise, it's just going to be crappy, as usual.
Yep.
Okay, Coach, you welcome Mr. Crow. Didn't know if he was related to the old alcoholic beverage either.
I'm not sure about that. I have to ask him.
Old Crow. You want to figure out where he got the nickname?
Yep.
Of course, could be something to do with the abbreviation of his last name.
Very well could be.
Yes, sir. Never thought that one through before I said it. Okay, anyway, we will be heading out somewhere over your neck of the woods these coming days soon. So
All right.
we might be heading down to Pikeville, Kentucky.
There you go.
So it's that time of year. Oh, and by the way, if you, I'll give your son, who was on last week, I believe, or week before last, a little plug and tell everybody if you don't go, send your kids to the Sid Crist basketball camp during the fall or summer months next year. Get on the censor button. It's an old saying. And you are crazy as a
June bug.
poop house rat. All right. Anyway. But I do want to say I commend him, and I believe you should all send your kids to him. They're going to learn a lot and have a good time.
Absolutely. Does a great job.
All right. Okay,
Hi,
Coach,
Muggy.
this has been Muggy McLeod, Misty Rains, and Earl the Squirrel, high above Moundsville, West Virginia. coming to you with your one eye in the sky, NRN, Shopper One traffic and weather report. You all have a good evening.
All right, over now, Muggy. Good talking to you. Y'all be safe.
Yes, sir.
All right, bye-bye. All right, there's Muggy McLeod. Get off there, Muggy. His helicopter just kept running after he quit talking. It's Muggy McLeod with the weather and traffic update. I didn't get much traffic out of that. Must not be much traffic up in Moundsville. Apparently not. Anyway, got a couple of newer type segments we do on here, Crow, and we got out of order last week, so we didn't get to do one of them, so I'm going to go ahead and do that first. So we call me and Gorby, and I didn't give you a heads up on this or anything, but me and Gorby called it the Hell Yeah and the Hell No segment, and we come up with a couple of Hell Yeahs and a couple of Hell No's that we wanted to talk about during the week. So I've got a couple here for us. First Hell Yeah is that football is starting. We got preseason NFL, I believe it's the Hall of Fame game, starts tonight.
Yeah.
And then the preseason will start next week, and college football cranking up. High school football starts next week, so football season again.
Yes, it is.
I tell you what, the summer goes by, don't it?
Oh, very fast.
Yep, so football's getting ready to crank up, and I know we're all big football fans, and we're excited about that. Of course, we'll be bringing you Oak Hill games here on New River Network. I think probably as many as we can. I don't know if there's a few places that they play that have their own set up. So, but other than that, we should be covering most of Oak Hill's games. So if people want to tune in and watch that, you stay tuned to find out when they're going to be on. Another Hell Yeah that I have talking about football, I read today where the NFL is going to test what they call Hawkeye for first downs now. So they're going to use a computer chip in the ball and the down marker to measure for first downs, make sure the first downs and the marks are right. And I've been saying for years, I can't believe it's 2024 and we're still using a chain and a pole.
Right.
Try to figure out where, and a human trying to figure out where the ball spotted down. So hopefully this is the first step in the right direction to getting the ball sparked correctly. Because, you know, you sit and watch a game, if you pay close attention, that spot can change the whole game.
Oh, no doubt.
You know, and I know it's hard to get it right. So, you know, I think with the technology we have, there's no reason why they shouldn't get it right. So hats off to the NFL for at least starting it out and giving it a try. Hawkeye, first time, and they'll use that tonight, I think, in the Hall of Fame game. I think it's Chicago and Tennessee, I believe, playing in that. And so if you watch, you might want to take note of that and just see how it works, see how they do it. My Hell No's. My first Hell No, I had several of these, but I narrowed it down to two. First one is watching the Olympics, and I've seen where the triathlon has now been postponed on 3 different occasions because the Seine River is so polluted that they can't swim in it. They don't feel like it's safe for them to swim in. And they spent, last 2 years, they spent $1.5 billion to build a filtration system to help alleviate some of the pollution problem in it. And it's not working. They've had to postpone it twice, and these swimmers are going to be jumping in there with a chance to pick up a little E. coli while they're swimming around. So that sounds like if I was an Olympic athlete, I'd be real excited about that.
Yeah.
I'd already been on a plane coming home, I think. The second one involves the Olympics as well. The second one is the second Hell No is to the Canadian women's soccer team. They employed the use of a drone to go spy on their opponent from the air while they were practicing. And the coach has been sent home and suspended for a year. Now it's getting in, I think, even to some players, assistant coaches, that sort of thing. And they were spying on a team that they were picked to beat badly, which they did beat them badly anyway. But they were using a drone to spy on them. And I thought, how do you think you're going to get away with that? You know, with all them cameras there, everybody there, you know, it just blows my mind. And especially when you're heavily favored to beat this team. Why would you even do something like that?
What country was that, Coach?
Canada.
Canada. Maybe they need to talk to the Secret Service. They don't use them too much, do they?
Don't seem to. But yeah, I just thought, you know, with as good as the Canadian women's team is, and you know they're predicted to win the gold, I think, and to do something like that against a team that they're heavily favored over. I think the team was Portugal. Is who they were supposed to play. So Wow. I said, how can you do that? And you don't really expect that from Canadians,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know many Canadians, but the ones I know always seem awful honest and good people. And not that that makes them bad people. I think she was not from Canada, and she was from somewhere else. I don't say where, but yeah, you expect that from some groups, but not those guys. But anyway, and it seems to me like in this Olympics, there's been more controversies and more scandals than any I can ever remember in the Olympics. I don't know why it is, but it seems like every day when you pick up the news, there's another cheating scandal or somebody's complaining or, always something wrong. I've never seen it so bad in the Olympics before. Now, I do the other segment we were doing is the day in sports history and then the day in history. But I understand you got a couple of things there that you wanted to talk about and wanted to mention. Some stuff Texas got going on coming up. So if you want to go ahead and take some time and mention those things before we make sure we get them on.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Coach Tex Williams has his annual event this year. It's October the 5th at the Arty Museum. Starts at noon. There'll be activities. Hopefully, you guys will be up there doing the podcast. And before, he'll have the museum open and the signs and everything, and people can walk around. And he's got Jerry Lucas, who he's kind of befriended over the last year. Yep. He's coming back to actually pay tribute to Jerry West. Oh, okay. I think that's, the main thing there. Yep. And then Dave Price, the SSAC chief, is going to come and talk about the state of affairs of high school athletics and kind of what he sees the future of high school athletics in West Virginia is. I think they're going to dedicate the museum. If things go right, we're working on getting some signs put in to commemorate the museum on the roadway. Texas got his 85-86 University of Charleston team that went to the national tournament. A lot of those kids are going to come in. Plus our normal enshrinement class, and then I think a lot of the guests and the speakers will be politicians. So there's probably you'll probably know several of the people there and stuff like that. So, but it promises to be a good day. Noon kickoff, and the ceremony will probably last a couple hours and everything. So hopefully, everything will turn out pretty good up there.
That's October the 5th, right?
Yes, sir.
October the 5th, and that's it's fun.
Another one, Lonnie Warwick. Lonnie's, he's going to honor Lonnie too.
Okay.
He's getting a little bit of
age on him and
stuff and everything, and so
that'll be part of the program. Will be Lonnie Warwick.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. It's funny. Mentioned Jerry Lucas. Well, I interviewed him over at the Fellowship of Christian Athletes thing. He talked about John Havlicek inviting him down to play. I don't know if you got to see the interview or not, but. He said, John Havlicek is right there in Bridgeport, Ohio, right there where I'm staying. Right. That's how we got started talking. He said, oh, yeah, my friend. He said, so you live in Morgantown? I said, no, I drive from Oak Hill to Morgantown to work, and I stay with my brother in Bridgeport, Ohio. Bridgeport, Ohio, he said. He said, John Havlicek's the mayor? And I said, yeah, I went to Bridgeport High School area. He said, he invited me down one time. We played some summer league ball, and he said, we were both pretty good players, and I thought, well, if he's inviting me down, he'll have a good team, He says, I'll go down. He said, so I did it for a few years. He said, but the first year he went, he said, we got a game lined up with the West Virginia State Penitentiary players. He said, so they go into the game, and they're playing on an outdoor court there at the penitentiary. And he said he was going down the floor on a fast break, and he said, this guy just come up from behind and just kicked the ball. He said, kicked it plumb over the fence, went down over the hill. And he said, I turned around and said, you can't. That's not the way. You can't be doing that. And he said, before I could even get out, he said, that guy said, I get it. And he took off running. He said he ran right straight down over the hill, jumped over the fence. There was a car waiting on him. He hopped in the car and drove away. He said it was the strangest fast break I ever saw. He said, needless to say, they didn't let us come back and play anymore.
That's funny.
That was a good story. Since we were talking about Moundsville, Jerry Lucas both. On this day in history, sports history, 1933, future Hall of Fame pitcher Carl Hubble set a major league record for consecutive scoreless innings, 45 1/3. That's pretty good lick here.
Yes, it is.
And you're a baseball guy, so you know what that means. That's pretty impressive. 1936, the Summer Olympic Games are opened by, you know him, as Adolf Hitler. He opened up the games in Berlin, and we'll have another little tidbit here about that. I'm sure you can guess what that's about. That also happened to those Olympics. 1970, future Hall of Fame outfielder Willie Stargell. He hit 3 doubles and 2 home runs in a 20-10 Pirates win at Atlanta Stadium. Willie Stargell, chicken on the hill for Will. That was in 1970. 1994, Baltimore shortstop Cal Ripken Jr. became the only the second player after Lou Gehrig to appear in 2,000 straight Major League Baseball games. That's pretty impressive too. And of course, I think we all remember when he broke the record there in the stadium. That was pretty cool. Gehrig appeared in 2000 as well, but his career was cut pretty short due to ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease, what they call it.
Right.
That's what my father passed away from, was Lou Gehrig's disease.
I remember you saying that.
Yep. 1996, American author George R.R. Martin published A Game of Thrones, first installment in his popular fantasy series. You ever heard of that?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
You ever watch it?
No.
I haven't either. I wouldn't have a clue what it is. I've heard of it a ton, but I never did know what it was. I never watched that stuff. 1980, Icelandic teacher and politician, I don't know if I get this name right, Vigdis Finnbogadóttir, became president of Iceland. She was the first woman in the world to be elected head of state in a national election. So that's pretty cool. 1876, Wild Bill Hickok, frontier marksman, gambler, and legend of the American Wild West, was murdered in the city of Deadwood in what is now South Dakota. Here's one we'll all remember. 1984, American gymnast Mary Lou Retton won the all-around event at the Los Angeles Games, becoming the first American woman to win an individual Olympic gold medal in gymnastics. Of course, we all know Mary Lou Retton from Fairmont. So, back in 84, man. That seems like
a long time ago.
All it does, don't it? 1936, back to those Berlin Olympics. Any guess who we'll talk about?
Jesse Owens.
Jesse Owens, yep. He's an American track athlete. He won the 100-meter event in his first of 4 gold medals. And what made that so significant was that Adolf Hitler had panned these Olympics to demonstrate how the white Aryan race was superior. And Jesse Owens had a little different story for him.
Yeah.
As he looked in the rearview mirror at him. So he won 4 gold medals in that Olympics and blew away the fields when he ran. He was a pretty awesome athlete. 1921, a day after being acquitted on insufficient evidence, largely because key evidence had disappeared from the grand jury files, Chicago White Sox players, 8 of them, were banned from baseball for life. They were accused of receiving bribes to intentionally lose the 1919 World Series. And we've all heard of the what they call it, the Black Sox scandal. I think is what they call it.
Scandal, yeah.
Yep. So that's your day in history, August 1st, back through the years. So a pretty good list of stuff and accomplishments there. Anything else going on, Crow? You got anything else you want to mention?
Well, I was talking to you a little bit earlier. Well, we've kind of formed just to the Artie relationships there. We've been going out probably once every 3 weeks and picking a place to eat. We were in Mount Hope this week with some retired coaches, and last month we were at Nitro, and it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of lies. Seems like everybody got better, as they got older.
Yeah, as the years go on, the stories get better.
Yeah,
That's
they
right.
do.
That's right. Yeah, I might have some gold medals by the time I quit talking about my days coaching. Of course, my days coaching, I done forgot about half of them. I can't remember that far back. But I bet that was a lot of fun. We've had a few coaches. We had Alan Osborne on one night. I don't know if you got to see that.
Yeah, I did.
Of course, we had Mick Price. You know that. We've had him a couple of times, and right. Mick's always good. We like to try to get those high school coaches when we can. And we were working on going down to North Fork for an event down there, but it kind of changed a little bit on us, and we weren't really able to adapt with the changes. So we plan on going back down there eventually and covering the North Fork at era when they were dominant in high school basketball, boys and girls. So we're going to try to get that together and plan that out and work it out and get down there. So that'll be a lot of fun.
We've actually got a guy on my induction list, Eddie Ivy, who I was kind of working through. His sister and a friend of hers, and we definitely need to get down there before too long because a lot of them aren't around anymore. They're running, they're scarce. But Eddie's still around, and he was going to try to work on that. So you get down there and do something before.
We'll make it down there. I know a lot of people would like that. It'd be a good history lesson. A lot of people enjoy it, I'm sure. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, our guest tonight, we hadn't mentioned his name yet. A lot of people know him as Boom Boom, but we know him as Freddie Smales, early 80s ball player for WVU football. And if you get a chance, and I'll tell this story real quick before we go to break. I do the show in Morgantown, too, on Wednesday nights. Last night we had Kevin White. Kevin White was the quarterback of that 1984 team that beat Boston College. They were ranked number 4 with Doug Flutie, the Heisman Trophy winner. They beat them one week. The very next week, they knocked off Penn State. Penn State hadn't lost to West Virginia in 28 tries, and Freddie was on those teams. So I go back and I'm watching some stuff on Kevin White because I wanted to get kind of prepared for the interview with him. And I kept seeing that number 30 flying around out here on defense. I'm like, that man was an animal out there. I'm telling you what, he was a baller. Yeah. And so I thought, I need to get him on the show. So I sent him a message, and he's agreed to be on with us. So we're going to have Freddie Boom Boom Smales on with us here after the break. So I hope you'll stay with us here on the Courtside with Coach Crist show. Greg Crist, Steve Crozier coming to you live from McGuffin's Mystery Hole out on Gatewood Road on the New River Network. We shall return. Welcome back to the Courtside with Coach Crist Show. I'm Greg Crist. That is Steve Crozier in place of Dave Gorby tonight, and we are thrilled to death to have our next guest on. And we've had this fellow on before, and it was a year and a half or so ago. And last night we did a show out of Morgantown that we do up there, and we had Kevin White on, quarterback of WVU in '84 when they knocked off Boston College and Penn State. So in preparation for that, I was watching some film. Well, I was watching some YouTube videos of the whole games. I watched the whole games, and I kept seeing this number 30 flying around, and I'm like, my gosh, that guy is a freaking beast out there. And when he sacked Flutie, I wanted to jump through the TV and hug him again. It was so exciting. But anyway, those Mountaineer fans out there watching right now know who we're talking about. Of course, that is Freddie Smales. Freddie got the starting nod in '84 as a junior. He earned that starting position, and he recorded 87 tackles that year, 2 interceptions, fumble recovery, 2 sacks, one of which we are very familiar with, and he went on to play some professionally after that. But some really interesting things about this man, which I've discovered after that first interview, is that he joined the military around the age of 45, I think he had told me, and became a chaplain in the military. He also was a bodyguard for a lot of famous people, which we'll get him to talk about that here in just a little bit. And I don't want to take all the time telling you all about him. I'm going to let him tell us all about him. And, of course, again, we're talking about Freddie Smales. Freddie, welcome to the show. We appreciate you being on.
Hey, thank you for inviting me. Glad to be back again.
Yeah, man.
It's good. Always good to be back talking some Mountaineer stuff, man. Always
go.
Back.
There you go. I feel like I forget how long it's been since we had you on, because I watched a lot of your talks and things on I don't know if it's Facebook or TikTok or whichever one it is. I watch you all the time, so I feel like I'm talking to you all the time because I sit there and listen to you all the time. But it had been a while since you've been on, and I know we talked a little bit about you last night with Kevin, and of course he spoke very highly of you. And I also had a gentleman, and I don't know if you know this name or not. I work with this guy. His name is Lynn Murray. And Lynn Murray said, "You tell Freddie I said what's up." So there you go.
Yes,
Lynn Murray's what's up for you. I work up there with
Yes,
Lynn.
I remember Lynn very well.
Yep, Lynn was quite the baller himself, and he was a good player in his day. But he works up in Morgantown, and same place that I do, and he's a floor down below me, and he runs a place called Lauren's Wish, which takes care of people who are in recovery, and then we do the same thing. We do the next step up on our floor. So I see Lynn about every day. So I saw him today and told him he was going to be on. He was excited. He said he was going to watch, but I also told him, I said, Lynn, you lie like a rug, so I ain't counting on you watching. So we're not going to go there. I want to find out something first. I've read a lot on you and watched videos and that sort of thing. Some things I see says you were from Philadelphia. Others say you were from South Carolina. And I know you spent a lot of time in South Carolina in various roles, but where exactly is your birthplace?
I was born and raised in Beaufort, South Carolina.
Okay.
When I was about 5 years old, a lot of the minorities was moving from the South to the North because of the factory work.
Right.
My mother was one of those individuals that moved up from South Carolina to Philadelphia to find work. She found work in the factories at the time. I didn't come up until I was about 5 years old, and then I wound up going back to Beaufort because most majority of my family still lives in Beaufort, South Carolina, and a lot of us live in Philadelphia. So it's a back and forth thing.
I got you.
Either way.
I got you. Do you live in South Carolina now?
No, I'm living in Brownsville, New Jersey. I'm right down by the gate of Fort Dix, where I resigned in the military last year.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. And I didn't know for sure where you were at now. Are you still active in the military, or have you retired?
I resigned last year.
Okay. I didn't know if you're still active or not. But anyway, that's a fascinating story in itself. We'll get to her in just a minute. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said too old.
Oh,
60 years old. They put you out.
Throw you out, huh?
I turned 60. They said, Chaplain Smales, adios. Thank you for your service.
There you go. Adios. I'm 62, so I know how that feels. So I get some of that myself sometimes. But let's talk first about how you ended up at West Virginia. What got you to West Virginia?
Well, Coach Galavich is who recruited me when I was at Glen Mill School for Boys up in Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
Really a tough place. Great players. I mean, from all over Ohio, Pennsylvania, and I went up to Glen Mill School for prep, and it happens to be, I was caught up in the numbers. A lot of those guys in there was already recruited, but they just had to get the grades together.
Mm-hmm.
But I happen to have probably the best season out of all those guys, and I never knew anything of West Virginia. And then I was just told while I was in the football field playing catch one day that there's a guy, a coach named Bill Galavich out of West Virginia want to speak with you. And he's down in the end zone. And that's where the relationship birthed.
Awesome.
From Coach Galavich and bringing me to Morgantown and meeting Coach Nealon, and it went from there.
I talking to Kevin White last night. He mentioned Coach Galavich and his recruiting as well. Man, he needs some credit for those teams he's put together. Galavich is getting all the players up in there, so that's awesome. You're, I know you were extremely fond of Coach Nealon. The time that you were there playing for him, I did watch your talk when the induction ceremony. I watched you talk about him. Talk a little bit about our fans, our watchers. They like to hear about the glory days with Coach Nealon and what it was like playing for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had the Bryant Joliet golf tournament last week, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah. We had Joe's on a couple weeks ago.
About 2 weeks ago, they had a roast for Coach Nealon, and they brought up all the ball players, myself, Joe's we had, Jeff Hosteller, Mike Fox, Willie Elwitz, Major Harris. A lot of the guys, Bo Orlando, Chris Pecan, a lot of guys were there. You notice that not one guy roast him.
Oh, I guarantee.
They should have called it the coach. They should have called it the Don Nealon inspiration, praise and thank you, goodbye banquet, whatever, something like that.
Right. Well,
not one guy. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but when we had Brian Joswiak on a few weeks ago, we were promoting the fundraiser, and I said, "Now what's this thing Thursday night?" It says roast, but I said, "Y'all going to actually roast Don Nealon?" He said, "There's no way we could ever roast Don Nealon. There's nothing bad to say about the man." He said, "It'll be nothing but praise and good stories," and he was right.
Exactly, that's what it was. It was just players just pour their heart out to Coach.
Yeah.
What a magnificent man. I mean, very excellent in all his ways. I really look up to him, and he's the greatest thing ever happened for that school in that state.
Mm-hmm.
I have to really. That's just my opinion,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I've brought up many times, and this is no knock on anybody before or after him, but one thing you never hear about West Virginia is they're involved in a scandal. There's been cheating. There's been this, been that. Like you see at these other places, it don't happen there. And I really feel like the people before him and him in particular were straight up and run a great program. And he elevated that program. I mean, just year by year by year by year, it just kept growing and growing and growing. And you guys were a definite part of that because you guys had some historic accomplishments during your playing days as well. But that's a big credit to him. So he's done a fantastic job for the state, for the university, and for probably you guys personally, I'm guessing.
Yes, I mean he definitely was a father figure and a mentor, and a coach. He took time out for you. Right. He was there for you, and he gave you that tough love.
Yeah,
I mean he gave you tough love. He's not like some of the things we see today where these athletes are baby.
Yeah.
Coach Nealon didn't baby. He just told you exactly this is how it's going to be, this is how it's going to go, and this is how it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and people respond to that. Obviously, you guys did. I mentioned some of the historic wins, but you guys knocked off some really good football teams that year. And I know after the Penn State game, we had some pretty bad injuries across both offense and defense that set us back there for a few games. And then once you got healthy and went into the Bluebonnet Bowl, it was lights out. You guys were awesome. That's in the '84 season. You knocked off Boston College, Penn State, and then TCU in the Bluebonnet Bowl. And like I said, I was watching those games the other night, and man, tell us your memories of like the BC game, because you were in Doug Flutie's face all night long.
Well, we roast Coach about what you just mentioned about that year. We kind of blamed it on him, and he took the blame because we were injured.
Yeah,
we had key players injured. Jeff Lucas was injured.
Yep.
David Grant was injured, and Brad Hunt. Our whole front was injured. And instead of Coach giving us the opportunity as players have today, because we're the blue collar guys back then, smash mouth football, he let us keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys were practicing hurt. Instead of could have took the time off and heal up, Coach Nealon's a soldier, and he continued to, we continued to participate in practice, and guys never got healed. And you saw that's what you saw in the game.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't see us not playing well.
Right.
You saw us burning out.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Weighing down.
Yep.
Virginia, that made you upset when they came in there. Virginia wore us down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we know, even though we had a bad call, because that sack that I had on Majowski was a fumble.
Right.
To get us back when we was coming back.
Yep.
But Nealon, we talked. We asked that question last week again, and he admits he admits his mistakes.
Yeah.
But the BC game was just, that was all about. That was all about the kid named Doug Flutie coming in our place with all this media hype, and nobody talked about West Virginia.
Right.
Everything was about Doug Flutie.
Yep.
And he was coming to our place, and we had the master blaster, Keith Jackson, coming in town, and Keith didn't give us no love earlier.
No.
Everything was going to us down.
Yep.
So as we go disrespected, that's just what we felt like. We felt like, wow, we're playing here in Morgantown, and we're not getting no love.
I tell a story about the Boston College game. I was an assistant football coach, and the other assistant and I both had season tickets. And we went to all the games. We go to the away games and everything. And the BC game that week, for whatever reason, we were playing another team here in the county, and they changed the game to a Saturday afternoon, which meant we'd be playing the same time the Mountaineers were playing. And we were so disappointed in that. But he was up in the press box. He had the headset on, so I got the headset down on the sideline. He had the game on the radios, and he was radioing down to me what was going on in the game. So, of course, I recorded it, went back and watched it again. I was about to drive to Morgantown and give you a big old hug, too, after you nailed Flutie there at the end. I was ready to give you a hug for that one. But you guys, a lot of people forget, too, Virginia was a pretty good football team. They were Kevin mentioned this last night.
They
had
Steve Majowski, who he was a starter before Brett Favre took that job in Green Bay.
Yep.
He was starting for the remember they call him the Magic Man in Green Bay.
Yep.
And they also had the kid started for the Kansas City Chiefs, Barry Ward.
Yeah.
And they had the number one tackle. What is it? Domisky.
Yeah. Yep.
Domisky. They had the number one tackle. Tackle in the first round pick. They were stacked.
Yeah, they were a good football team.
And I think the game was a very competitive game.
Mm-hmm.
I think we came back when I got that sack. We needed that big play. We got one. There was no instant replay as it was in college football as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And they robbed us.
Yeah.
They robbed us of our, that momentum. We're a comeback team at that time. And I know you know that.
Yep.
We were a very great comeback team because Doug Flutie was kicking our butts the first half, if you can remember. He was just beating the crap out of us. I think it was 20-0 at half. 20-6 at halftime, wasn't it?
Yep, 26. Yep.
He already threw for like 159 yards of passing in the first half.
Yeah.
We didn't know what to do with that guy. We had no defense for him, but we had one play. We had one play that we practiced. This was a play we're going to use that they didn't know nothing about, and we're going to use this play to see if it helps us. If it helps us. And guess what beat him? Guess what caused all those sacks?
That
one play.
Yep. Yeah, and I think I read where
the name of the play was called Sick'em.
Sick'em.
The name of the play was called Sick'em.
Yeah.
That's the name of the play, Sick'em. What is called Sick'em.
Yeah.
And he was put in the box, and you could tell once we did it, he was confused.
Yep.
Because the first West Virginia, our defense was the first that ever did that. To stack 8 in the box.
Right. Yeah, you could tell when watching that game. You could tell second half he was rattled. You could definitely tell it because his throws were off. He was short arming a lot of them. But you guys were in his face too. I mean, y'all were chasing him around everywhere, had him moving. So
because they couldn't block the 8.
Right.
They couldn't block the 8 up there. That's why I was free all the time because soon they bit down on Brad Hunt or Jeff Lucas. Adios, I'm free. And he was figuring it out. But they had no they had nothing prepped for it.
Right.
He knew we were coming.
Yep.
They didn't have they never saw the play. Nobody ever saw that play.
Yeah. Well, I noticed too, a lot of times you were coming off the right side, but on that sack you got toward the end of the game, you came off the left side and nobody even touched you. I mean, you came free as a bird there.
Well, because they were keying. You noticed that Matt Smith was having a real good game that game, and when the Mike Backer would shoot up in the gap, they were concerned about Matt because he got through a couple of times and he got a sack.
Yeah.
So they would block down on Matt and left the outside Sam Backer released. And that was me. And I was gone, not let him get in his drop steps because he was great with his feet. He had the greatest feet in college football that year.
Yep.
You had to get up on him real fast,
Yep. He could move. What about your memories of Penn State? Let's hear a little bit about that game.
Oh my God. I'll be honest. I remember the game, but I just remember the energy of the fans more than anything that game. Oh my God.
Yep.
You're talking about goosebumps, man. When 1,000 people are screaming down on that field and the student section is just in a frenzy and people going crazy, and there's almost a minute left in the game, and you could see them hanging over the doggone the wall. Like, what the heck is about to happen here? Yo, I'm getting ready to run. I'm like, I'm getting out of here. And that's what you saw. That's my memory more. Like, yo, they're really going to crash the field.
Yeah.
Because they did it. Remember, they did it the week before.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I do remember. In fact, I was at the Penn State game, and I said I don't ever remember it being so electric as it was that night. That was absolutely phenomenal. And being a night game,
did you go down the sunny side? Did you go?
Well,
did you go down to the campus after that game?
I can't let it be known where I ended up that night. I think I'm not mistaken. Was that Halloween night? I believe end of October. I think
it was Halloween night.
Yeah,
it was.
Yep. I ended up in a costume, but I don't know.
I was down Sunnyside. I was down Sunnyside. I didn't have one beer that whole night because I was just so caught up.
Yeah.
And what was going on.
Right.
And I and when I talked to the police, because I was like, "Are you going to arrest anybody tonight?" He was like, "Heck no." I said, "What you got to do?" He said he was 3 years old the last time that West Virginia beat Penn State. He said, "I was 3 years old. I'm not doing anything."
I actually did go down to Sunnyside for a little while that night, and I don't remember if it was Sunnyside or somewhere else I was at, but 4 or 5 people come carrying the goalpost, part of the goalpost through. They tore the goalpost down.
I was down there when they did that.
Yeah, I saw that. I wish I would have seen you. If I'd have seen you, we'd still be on the ground because I'd have jumped on you and gave you a big hug.
And they're like, yeah, I was there. And the fire plugs were on, and people were laying in the streets in the fire plugs. I was like, can you imagine with social media today?
Oh gosh!
If that had got caught, we'd have been the talk of the century.
Yes, I'm glad there was no videos. I can tell you that.
Can you imagine Stephen A. Smith? The mountain in West Virginia, they're ridiculous. That should have never happened.
That's right. Oh man, well, good times. I'll tell you what, I enjoyed them. I know that, and it was a blast watching you play. You after your football days wound up, you went on to become a bodyguard for some people, and I know people will be. When I heard this, I was blown away by it, but people will be shocked to hear your story about the bodyguard jobs you had.
Yes, I worked for Mark Wahlberg. I was his bodyguard when he was Marky Mark and Mark Wahlberg. I worked with him on the movie Invincible, The Perfect Storm, The Planet of the Apes, Rockstar. I was his bodyguard, security, good buddy of mine, well known for 22 years.
Wow.
I worked with Big Daddy Kane for 34 years, still today help him out. LL Cool J for 5 years. CNC Music Factory, I did their tours. Snap, I Got the Power, I did their tours. And Jessica Simpson, I worked with for 3 years. Nas, I toured with him on his tour. I worked at TRL with Carson Daly for 7 years of MTV. Seen the world out of the whole thing, and I can't really explain. I was seem inadequate because it was just too much, really, to bear.
Yeah.
With the life, just to see the world, and I didn't get paid. I didn't pay for it. I got paid for it.
Right. Yeah,
I never paid for a hotel room. Never paid for a flight. Never paid for a meal. And I saw the world and the 7 stars, the most sweetest jets, G5s, G4s, perfect jet, private jets. You can imagine. It was a blessing.
Oh, gosh. What a life. And then after that, of course, the story, you went to the military. Now you're too old, but back then you were too old, but you still got in.
Yeah, it was the challenge. I was always a person about challenges. I never wanted to give up, never wanted to quit. I give a lot of that, it was in me, but a lot of when I spoke at the Brian Jones on Thursday night, it silenced the whole place. Mm-hmm. And everybody says, he's going to do something because he speaks. And there are people that came to me and said they were crying after the speech about Coach Nealon. They said it was so passionate, so empathy, because a lot of my life, it's like Coach Nealon. My purpose, my task, and my planning are the things that Coach Nealon applied into my life. A lot. Yeah. Believe me, everything I do today is like what I do, what Coach would do.
Right.
And going in the military at that age, 45, my knees are bad. I got to go to boot camp and run with these young guys. But you know what? I'm a mountaineer, bro.
No sweat.
And I'm a mountaineer. and I played at West Virginia. And I believe that coming out of there, I can hang with anybody.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And
the Army recruited me as a chaplain. They needed it. Didn't think I was going to get in. It was a lot of hard work because this was a lot of red work, red tape, and political things on the chaplain side of things to get a guy like me in. Believe me, it didn't look good. But the Pentagon, the board of the Pentagon, finally said, "Hey, we're gonna pass this guy," and they passed me.
Awesome, man! What a life. Crew, you got something there you'd like to ask Freddie?
Yeah, Freddie, this is Steve Crozier. First of all, me and Greg were talking before the show. We were trying to figure out how you got to West Virginia. Where I went to high school at our neighboring high school was Hurricane High School, and guy was a few years older than me, but I had always watched him come up. I don't know if you played with Doc Holliday and Steve Dunlap, but were they there? Or
know them guys very well.
Yeah,
know them very well.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I wish Doc was actually down Marshall. He had a great record. I don't see what got him out of there, but he was doing a great job at that university.
Yep.
But who knows? You know how politics goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doc and Steve Dunlap, great guys.
Awesome.
We had a kid that played for me several years ago on the show, me and Greg, and his name was Mark Plants, South Charleston kid, but he played in the 90s up there. But he used to say, and Greg heard him say this, you know, Don Needland would always say representation by bold participation. You know, I guess the big thing was, you know, get 8 or 9 wins, get to a bowl game, get West Virginia, you know, some recognition on the national scene.
Yes, you know, I've only, in my 4 years at West Virginia, the reason why I hold people to a higher standard, I only lost 10 games in my 4 years.
Yep.
I only lost 10 games.
Yep. That was a good.
I don't know how many people can say that they played 4 years at a major D1 university with the schedule that we had, the Doug Flutys, the Dan Marinos, the Boomer Sisons, the Steve Majowskis, the DJ Dozers, the Barry Wards, the Paul Palmers. Come on, man.
Yep.
And only lose 10 games?
Yep. That's right. Yeah. Not too many people can say that.
Number one, number 2 team in the nation.
Yep.
We played Miami the year they won the national championship, remember?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And we played Penn State the year they won the national championship. Come on.
Absolutely.
What an awesome time at WVU at that time.
Yep.
And we beat Oklahoma, Coach Barry Switzer, when they were ranked number 9 in the country. We went down there and bashed them down there.
Yep,
right.
Sure did.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was my next question. Well, not really a question, but just what I was going to ask you is, you know, you're mentioning these wins, but you know, you guys in particular, you know, your career, you know, we were talking. Greg told me, you know, he was going to have you on immediately. You know, I thought of you defensive player, active, fast, and everything. But how does it feel to be a building block on Coach Nealon's program? I mean, you guys are like our pro team. We talk about all you guys all the time. You know, you can go in some of these states and, you know, that have a lot of different teams and get memories fade and stuff. But in West Virginia, it's not like that. And, you know, you were pretty much on the ground floor in the early 80s, you know, getting things started. That's got to make you feel pretty special because, you know, obviously the toughest is laying the groundwork for something that hadn't won before.
Well, we had this conversation down there, and we have it all the time. We went with Daryl Talley down there this 3 weeks. We all went to his little, you know, the motivation type for his Hall of Fame. But we were talking about how our generation is the one that always comes back for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you notice, anything down there is that this generation right here that is always around, coming around, the biggest stories, more unification than any other, always together. We'll show up, we'll participate. There's something about at that time at Morgantown.
Yeah.
It's something that still carries that spirit today in you. Like I was doing one of my little podcasts. I was saying that I said I was walking down Cheap Lake, and it was nice. I mean, you know, to see them hills in the back and those boats on the water. You know, you don't see that up in New York, you know, Jersey. And I was talking about being loved, and I said, if I'm never loved and I ever got any type of animosity against me, I know where to go. I have a place that I can go where a lot of people love me and treat me with first class and treat me like I'm their brother and never forgot me.
That's right.
I said, West Virginia.
That's
That was my
right.
topic.
That's right.
And I had about 100 people who listened to that. Like, said, I can always come to this place. If I ever feel like I'm depressed or I'm not can make it, baby, take me to Morgantown for about a week. Watch them lift my spirit up.
Absolutely.
Watch them change my whole directory of attitude.
Yep.
Absolutely. And we were talking about that. A lot about generations. Now you know.
Yeah.
Greg, that's why a lot of us come back, because we get recharged when we come there.
Right.
There's a recharge.
Yep.
It recharges you.
I know.
Everybody's about this love down there, you know?
Yeah. Yep, I know. And Frank Fear and I have talked a lot. You know, he wrote a book about the 69-70 Mountaineers back in the day. And he and I have talked several times about this. You know, we've had Tally on. I'm sorry.
I have that book. I read it.
Okay. Yeah, good book. Good book. And I told Frank, and I said, one of the things that you notice in his book, and then we've talked to Joe Zwiak, we've had Tally on, Kevin White, of course. We've had a ton of former players on from that era and around in that same time frame. And one of the things that we've noticed, there's a line there that we noticed, and that is the way they talk about their teammates. And that's struck both of us, is how much love and admiration and credit they give their teammates. Everybody we've talked to say the same thing about the guys they played with, and they'll name off a list just like you did. And you know, these are still my brothers and still our brothers. And we've noticed that about a lot of these Mountaineers, and especially your group, you know, from that late 70s to the mid 90s, probably. We've noticed that a lot with you folks, that there is definitely a tight knit brotherhood there.
You got to hear the stories. I mean, and a lot of things came out. You know, because a couple of guys, you know how the Mountaineers in when the Haxfields and McCoys get inside of them. You know, they get a little bit of bruise going on, and the stories start to come out.
Yeah, I've heard some good ones. Not on the air, but I've heard some good ones. Yeah, so when I get to talk privately with some of them, I hear some pretty good stuff. We went up to last year. We did. Frank had a book signing up there, and Joe Zwiak and Daryl Talley were there, and some older guys back in the 69-70s teams, and we were on the air for probably 2 hours up there. But after the show, I heard some great stories that they wouldn't tell me while we was on the air. So I got to ask you this: I know you still pay close attention to the Mountaineers. Are you still fans? Still watch as part of you? Just give us quickly here your thoughts on what you're seeing in Morgantown today, and what do you think about this upcoming season and the job Neil Brown's doing? Nope. Did we lose him? Darren? Well, we got to get him back because we still got to do shoot to three questions. We can't let him live without that. I was going to get him to talk about the current Mountaineers and then the lawsuits, the NCAA. I'll let that slide. Okay. I got to plug up. Where'd my little thing go? Where's that little white cord at? I just had it plugged up. What happened to it? There it is.
God, that's interesting, going in the military at 45.
Yeah.
I mean, how much money do you think he made guarding those people?
Oh, gosh. Can you imagine?
Why would you do that?
Yeah, you imagine.
I mean, that's old going in the, you know.
I guess he felt like he got too old.
I mean, starting at 45. That's old. Yeah. And having to do all that, physical stuff.
We're going to try to call him back here and see what we can get. Drop the call somehow. Hey, man.
Did I? I mean, something happened.
Yep, something happened. We dropped you. We lost you there. And I was in the middle of a question about your thoughts on the Mountaineer team today, what we got going on in Morgantown these days, and what's your thoughts on Neil Brown?
First, you know, you hear a lot of the things. You kind of fall into the spirit, and you have to. That's where my faith and my belief have to come in. Where I can't judge someone because of whatever others how they judge it.
Yep.
But I was a little bit selfish because I was used to winning at West Virginia.
Right.
I was used to winning, and I was spoiled. West Virginia spoiled us. We were used to winning in big games, and and having that those bowl games and winning those games. But you know what? When I started thinking about the players and coach as a person, his family, and what he was trying to do, and I know he's giving his best, and that's when I just really became a part of his team and says, you know what, we got to back this guy up and let's get behind him.
Yep.
Because that's what's really going to make it work here. If we get behind him, and I don't know if you saw when a lot of Mountaineers fans will go off on the pages.
Oh yeah.
And I was there, I was really just, I'm gonna go after the players hard. Because there's I'm going to hold you accountable. I don't blame coaches for – I never blame a coach for my play.
Right.
I'm on the field.
Yeah.
I'm the one that has to make the tackle.
Mm-hmm.
I have to make the stop. Coach is not out there playing.
Yep.
All you got to do is line me up, and it's my job. 90% of the field belongs to me, not coach.
Yep. Seems like fans have a hard time remembering that.
And that's why I got out helping Coach Brown out. Like, hey – you need to talk to them players. Coaches, he's pushed, those guys got to make this work. Mm-hmm. But I noticed that a lot of those guys are playing very hard.
Yeah.
But there's one kid I really like. I really like this kid and really won my heart. Green is somebody I really love to watch play.
Yep.
And that won my heart for the team.
Yeah.
When I started having a favorite player. Green is my favorite player.
Yep. He's a good one. Yeah, and like you said, the coach don't fumble the ball, the coach don't miss a field goal, the coach don't miss a tackle. You know what I mean? And people want to just hammer these guys. And in my mind, I'm thinking, he's a good, solid guy. You can tell that. He's a smart guy. He obviously knows how to coach football, or he wouldn't be where he's at today. And all he can do is lay the plan out there, and if they don't execute it, you're in trouble. So I think he's done a good job.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I know that he's a good guy because nobody speaks about his character or his attitude. Right. Everybody talks good, but I understand what the Mountaineer fans are about.
Oh yeah.
Those fans are spoiled. They didn't gotten to the point where they're elite school now.
Yeah.
If you look back at West Virginia when I came in there. They had the old stadium. I mean, look at this place.
Yep.
And then when I came in, we went straight to the new stadium. Look at the growth of these people. Yeah. So I do get their hunger.
Yeah.
I do get their thirst. I do get it. I get it. I do get their expectancy. But it comes to a point where, all schools go through this. Texas.
Oh yeah.
UCLA, Oklahoma, everybody goes through what West Virginia has gone through.
Yep.
So, Rome was not built in a day.
That's right. Yeah, and you look at a program like these. Take Virginia Tech for example. Back in the day, that was usually an automatic win for us. They were just not very good, and then they had their years, a decade there where they were really strong and powerful, and now they're back. Not on the bottom, but they're not too far from the bottom now. So it happens everywhere. It's not just it's not just West Virginia. And like you said, they've gotten spoiled over the years. Over the last 25, 30 years of just winning, and they really circle the wagons when things start going bad. It's tough.
And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, right.
It's not, but we have to look at the ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to look at the recruiting situations, and the change from going from the Big East to the Big 12, and look at the competition of recruiting.
Yeah,
I mean we gotta compete against Texas. Well, at those times we had to compete against Texas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Texas Tech. I mean, what kid will turn down Oklahoma? And then Texas Longhorns for the Mountaineers.
Yeah.
I mean, those are just big questions to ask.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, you want fans to be passionate, but they need to be realistic, and they need to understand what the whole picture is, and not just wins and losses every year. You got to look at the whole scheme of things. So I think we're headed in the right trajectory. I think we're heading in the right path. Now, before I let you go, we've already gone overtime, but I love listening to you talk, and I love hearing the story. It's always so much fun. I don't know if you remember from the first time I had you on, we did the little segment called the Shoot to Three questions, where we ask you 3 rapid questions, and you got 30 seconds to answer them. If you don't, we send Crow down. He's a bodybuilder. He'd kneecap you, and if you break the rules. But in reality, we don't have any rules. We just say that, and we just have 3 weird questions to ask you about nothing we've ever talked about before. So if you are ready to go. All right, well, here we go. All right, shoot to 3. Number 1. You're going to make a movie about your life. Who's going to play the lead role as Freddie Boom Boom Smales?
Denzel Washington.
I heard that. That's great. Yes, sir. We've had Denzel a lot of times. He's been on a lot. I love Denzel Washington. He's the best.
Look for that guy. He's going to get you the box office.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah, he's the best, man. All right. Second question. If you could call a historical figure, no one from your family, but if you could call a historical figure from any time in history, who would you call up?
Who would I call up? I would call up George Washington.
There you go.
Yes, I would.
It would be interesting to talk to them. I'd like to interview George Washington.
I just want to know, how did you cross the Delaware like that? I mean, no food, no shelter, no
cold,
ammo, and you
snowing.
Cold. How did you do it?
He caught all them Hessians on the other side drunk and wiped them out there pretty quick. That's a pretty good move. Pretty good move on his part.
Yeah.
I taught history, so I know all about that. Yeah. All right, last one. If nobody knew you and you were coming out in Morgantown for a game and you had to have a walk-up song, what's going to be your walk-up song, and can you sing a few bars for us?
Country roads, take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia. That will always be.
And you won't be surprised by this, but Brian Joswiak got that question too, and he sang the same song.
That's right.
I think yours are a little bit better. I'll have to get both of you on here one time and get you a little competition going. Get a little karaoke.
I got a little better baritone.
Fred, we really do appreciate you more than you know, getting to have you on. We'd like to get you on up in Morgantown on our Morgantown show. We do one up there called Mountaineer Locker Room Then and Now, and we like to go back in history. So we'll be giving you a call on that one as well. But we truly appreciate you. I'm so grateful and so thankful, and I again loved watching you play. You're one of my all-time favorites, and loved watching you. We appreciate you.
I love you guys, man. I love you guys. I love, like I said, I can't ever complain of being lonely. Right. I have a place that I can go to that people love me.
That's right.
They will always involve me.
That's right.
I had a great time down Morgantown 2 weeks ago. It was magnificent. The problem is, how do we get tickets for Penn State?
I know, man. It's looking rough right now, but we'll work on that.
We didn't used to have that issue. I don't know when Wolfley was here. God bless Wolfley.
Yep.
The Wolfley to make those things happen for
Oh
us.
yeah.
So
I
want to come to the Penn State game, but don't know how to go about it.
Well, I'll talk to your friend Lynn Murray. He probably can scalp us a few. I'll do that first. I'll try that first.
That's going to be a crazy game.
Gosh.
That's going to be massive.
It is going to be something else. It really is. Can't wait for that. So, well, we hope to see you down there then. I'll see if we can't find some tickets somewhere, and I'll get in touch with you. But, again, thank you so much for being on tonight. We really do appreciate you.
All right, take care. God bless.
All right. Thank you, Freddie. Freddie Boom Boom Smales. I'm telling you what. You want to watch a baller, you go back and you watch those videos. I sat there and watched it, and I kept saying, "Here he is again. Here he is again." They just kept calling his name. I'm like, my gosh, this guy's all over it. He was a heck of a player, man.
Well, you know what that was? Coach Millen says, if you want to be known, Freddie knows the right time to do it. He knows when the cameras are on.
I know the last time we had you on, you talked a little bit about I asked you about your dance after you get a sack or something. You do your dance, and I noticed on the videos I was watching, you just get ready to start breaking down that dance, and they go off. They take the camera off of you every time.
They take the camera off. Yeah, you know they show it today, but they take the camera off me back there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Today they go through the whole routine today, and you get to see it. you just get to.
I practice that moonwalk more than I practice in the field.
You did that stuff before Deion Sanders did it, man. You look like him out there dancing.
I told everybody I was the first. I learned that from Billy White Shoe Johnson.
Yeah, that's right. I was getting ready to say Billy White Shoes Johnson started it. Yeah.
Well, you guys take care, man.
All right, Freddie. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. All right, bye-bye. So I better hang up this time. I thought he hung up on me. Didn't know he was still there. He was a player, man.
I'll tell you what I was impressed about was just, the camaraderie and the experience, just like he said, that when he feels down, going back to Morgantown and stuff, and really, you've coached all your life. That's what athletics is about: the relationships, teamwork, and being able to come back and enjoying your teammates and stuff. So it's really refreshing having him on and talk about that.
Oh yeah, and they have memories and stories to tell that we'll never hear about. But great guys too. I mean, we've had a bunch from that 79, 80, right on up through the 2000s. We've had players on. Every one of them are just so like appreciative of West Virginia and how nice it was. I don't know what that is coming in there, but anyway, let Darren turn that down real quick. We're out of time. In fact, we are about 20 minutes overtime tonight, and we didn't get to talk about everything we wanted to, but we always have another week, so we'll be back next Thursday. Possibly. I have to talk to Darren about that, get that cleared, but we appreciate everybody tuning in on the New River Network tonight. You stay tuned and watch. I'm sure Darren's going to have some announcements about games coming up and all that sort of thing, so make sure you're paying attention to that. We'll be covering Oak Hill High School football and still having the Courtside show on Thursday night, so we hope you'll join us for that. Crow, appreciate you making the trip over to join me. A lot of help, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, love having you, and I always look forward to getting to talk to you. We appreciate everybody for tuning in to the Courtside with Coach Crist show on New River Network. We appreciate it, and we are going to go out. Good night, everybody.